I mean, let's face it. Let's just call it out the way it probably went down. So you got this individual, right? That's been playing both sides of the fence. In fact, they were sitting there for months with one foot in the door and one foot outside the door. And they had their little ulterior motives the whole time. Nobody really knew exactly what their ulterior motives were. Only they knew. But let's just say they were not good to the man and the motives were not good towards the woman. Even though the individual came in and acted as a friend to both the man and the woman, the true intentions and the true plot underlying and the true reason for why they were even there and why they kept coming around was a pure self-serving, self-propelled bunch of shit in selfishness. So they had their own intentions, their own ulterior motives, their own thoughts, and their own plots. But they were still gonna smile in my face while they sit and agree with me, and then they want to stir the pot even more because you see, the kind of individual that I'm speaking of is possessed by an entity that loves to stir the pot. In fact, these are the kind of individuals that will go out of their way to bring something up to either trouble your mind or anger you. Thought forms being projected. That's what they do. Just got to stir that pot a little. Well, let's see what happens if we trigger them with this. So everything that you were doing to me and all the thought forms that you were trying to implant into my mind and all the things that you were trying to use to cause anxiety or discord or any type of negative feeling in me, you were doing the same thing to him. In fact, do you remember all those days that you'd call and you'd have to get your little report and your check? So you got to call and check in. And then while you do that, you bitch, oh, another fuck story. I'm stuck over here all day. But you want to be. That's what you want to do. You'll spend all day bitching and moaning that you got to take him now here and you got to take him now there. And then when it came to your friend, because let's face it, yeah, I'm going to be honest. It was your friend that really wanted your stank ass to come back to the fucking house to begin with. Because at that point, I had already discerned that you were a fucking piece of shit. At least where I was concerned, you were a piece of shit. And you didn't have any good right intention when it came to me. Thank you that you actually liked my dog more than me. But unthank you that you really actually you liked him so much that you wouldn't have minded if I would have gave you the dog and then you could have gone back with my dog nonetheless to 300 White Street while you sit there trash talking me, insulting me, putting down my character, patronizing me, all while you sit there after what you would have had a hand in helping to create Because let's just face it, two's company, three's a crowd. Did you ever hear that expression? It's so true. Only in this person's mind, I was the crowd that had to go. In my mind, they were just annoying, but I wouldn't have plotted against them or gone out of my way to try to trip them up. Not like what was done to me. Oh, and let's not forget that whatever you did to me, you also sat and you did to him. I mean, let's just be real now. Because a big part of what you sat and you did was you sat there, agreed with, listened to, and then you implanted other things like, oh, well, maybe da-da-da-da-da. Or maybe she's over here doing this. But you know damn well, no matter or despite what exactly was said, you know that one thing is for sure. You certainly took advantage of every time that you were around him and you could implant or suggest something that may have been going on with me, whether it was related to something that you either heard or you witnessed that I did in the past. But you know that that's pretty much what you do because you did it with me. So you did it with him as well. So, but you're going to sit there and act like you're such a good fucking caring friend, right? Such fucking bullshit. And like I said, then your friend would call you up. I'm worried about you. I haven't heard from you all day. We're making a whatever tonight for dinner. You going to come? You gonna sleep here tonight? But you didn't want to come back there and sleep there. You know why? Because you had a real problem with being able to come and see me. You didn't want to see me. In fact, you were probably like smacking yourself because you dropped me off where you dropped me off at. And then it kind of fucked up your groove. And you couldn't be there long periods of time with me because you would say, I can't come back there tonight. I can't deal with that. Deal with what? What did I fucking have you deal with? What did I run your ass about for you to do for me? Nothing. You know why? Because you gave me a ride and then you dropped me off. And then we didn't see you. And I was glad to not see you. And every time you came around, I already discerned the only reason your stank ass was there to use the fucking shower was also so you could keep and monitor me as well and get your little tabs on what I was doing. It's like the devil sent you in there. Meanwhile, you sit over at 300 White Street, supposedly consoling your friend, and then bitching and moaning out the other side of your mouth that you don't want to be over there and you don't want to deal with this shit. But you couldn't wait to fucking run over there, but you never told them no, you couldn't do this or that. You had no problem telling me when you wouldn't be able to come back or give me a ride. Like I didn't even fucking ask you for one. And you still made it known that you wouldn't be around to be able to take me anywhere. You were going to be tied up on White Street, sitting there knowing more than what you let on to know the whole time. And let's just face it, if part of the problem with Micah was the fact that he just didn't know where I was at. And he was so worried because, oh, he loved me so much and he cared about me so much. Well, then you, as such a caring, concerned friend, don't you think that you would have wanted to console and really make the guy's life a little easier by saying, well, actually, you really don't have to worry about them. I know. But you see, you already knew that if you did that, then you would also have to come out of pocket and admit and confess that you really were somebody that was playing both angles for your own self-interest. And then you also, at the same time, you were afraid of the repercussions that would have came back down on your head from your friend for the simple fact, why are you getting involved in my business like that? Why are you taking her and dropping her over there? Like all the things that you would not have wanted to confront, but you had no problem being shady about it and performing those things as long as they don't come out, right? Just like, I bet you're really glad that that one secret was kept. In fact, I bet that after you found out that I did see Micah again and that I did have words with him, I bet that you were wondering if I was going to tell him that one little secret. You know the one. No, I actually didn't. I didn't tell them. Don't ask me why. But I didn't. But you're not glad for that either, because and then you're stupid. You're stupid. You're like you're dumb. You know why you're dumb? Because you should have remembered before you wanted to taint and sit there, and you couldn't wait to call your friend up and use it as an opportunity for you to act so upset and act like now all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. But your conscience must have been really tearing at you the whole fucking time, being that you knew exactly what you helped to do with why I left. You also know that all you really did was sit and actually talk shit about your friend to me. And then at the same time, you're going to sit at 300 White Street all day. After you get done speaking to me or knowing where I'm at, on the other hand, you're going to sit there and you're going to act dumb, like you don't know a thing. Or you're going to act shocked. And then you're going to agree, well, yeah, maybe they are out doing this or that, or maybe they are. And then you also want to talk, and let's just call this out too, because, you know, with all the talk about the cops and everything, and how did they find him at the motel or whatever, because one of the things that was said was that I snitched him out about his whereabouts. And no, actually, I didn't. And do you want to know something? And this information was actually really easy to obtain. But do you know why he ended up getting found on Airport Road? Do you want to know? I'll tell you. Because he purposely wanted to. He had a plan. Did you know that? So he did something stupid in front of the cops to draw their attention to him. And remember, I said things also go down unconsciously. But they actually became aware of him on Airport Road because of another traffic thing that he did. And then when they followed him and they ran his plates, they ended up seeing that he was actually wanted for the third DUI probation violation. And that's how you can say they found him at the Super 8. And do you know how I got that information? From the Allentown police. Because I got a call from the Allentown police. And so did my aunt, I believe, because he called my aunt up as well as myself before he took his life. Do you want to know something else? When he called me before he took his own life, if I would have answered the phone, do you want to know how the conversation would have gone? It would have gone a little something like this. Maybe this will make you happy since nothing else I did ever could. Bang! It's a good thing that God told me to not answer that phone. Because I certainly did not need to have that seared into me. I would say it's enough to carry already, knowing the things that I do know. My Lord said, you do not need to actually hear it go down. That was for my own protection. But if one of the things that was really troubling that man was not knowing where I was at, well, let's just say this. You didn't help ease that burden. You didn't help ease that burden at all. Because the fact of the matter is, you knew a lot more the whole entire time than you ever let on to. You were playing both sides of the fence. You know you were. And the reason you were playing both sides of the fence was more so you could keep tabs and monitor and already be ready with an excuse in case something came out in a way that either made you look bad, that incriminated you. It was like you're just keeping tabs to see what they know, what they don't know, and to also make sure that whatever is known is either false or gonna cover your ass, we'll say. Not because you really care. Not because you wanted to be a friend. You wanted to be a friend. Please. Like, I hope, in all honesty, I hope that everybody that actually was Micah's friend finds out about you, woman. Finds out and starts to see you in the very light that you should be seen in. I do. I pray that, in fact. And then I pray that after they see you in the actual light of what you are, a bitter hag that has nobody's best interest at heart except their own, because you're so full of envy, strife, and bitterness. That I hope that they don't even want nothing to do with you anymore. And honestly, I'm just going to say, there's one friend of his in particular that I hope cuts you fucking off. I hope they do. I hope they cut you off. And the next time you try to call them up and you want to go see that friend of his, I hope that that friend says to you, nah, I can't. I'm not going to be seeing you no more. I pray that happens as well. And then what are you going to do? I mean, after all, Micah's money and his addiction meant more to you than his friendship. And speaking of bottoming out and fuckery galore, who was it that he went to when he fell off the wagon again? Was it not you? It was you, woman, that he went to and got some stuff from in a pinch that you were to keep quiet about. So that day that I went out with him and I had thought that this was the day he was going to use again, but he already had gotten a line from you. You already knew, even before I knew, that he was using again. But that's how you are, because you are self-serving, self-interest, and you have no problem sitting in front of somebody or a group and placating, like, oh, we're gonna play like we don't know where she's at, even though we're the one that dropped her off and gave her a ride there. We're gonna play like we don't know he fell off the wagon again and has purchased some shit from me and I gave him stuff. But we're going to act shocked and we're going to act surprised like we didn't know nothing. Because after all, that's what good fake liars do. They sit around and they look and act fake. And how can you tell a liar from a non-liar? How can you tell somebody that's genuine from a liar? You can't. You can't tell them apart unless you have discernment from the Most High. You know why you can't tell them apart? Because one will mimic just as well as the other acts. And you won't be able to tell a wheat from a tare. That's why it also says, leave the tares in place. Do not uproot them yet from the wheats, because in the removing of the tares, you might uproot one of the wheats. And even though the tares look like wheats and are not wheats, we still don't want to damage the wheat. So we'd rather leave the tares in to grow with the wheat until the time is for the tares to be uprooted. So we have somebody right now that wants to run their mouth, couldn't wait to taint my image. I mean, it's so obvious. And why is your friend so much more upset? I mean, for Christ's sake, you should have heard your friend could barely talk to me. Like, they couldn't even talk to me. They were super upset. You would have thought that they personally knew Micah, the way they were so upset. But do you know what that really was? That was their own knowing of conscience. They didn't even know why they were so sad and upset. But I guarantee you, the reasonings, even though what happened was a very sad, tragic event. The reasons that they were bawling and super sad and upset, honestly, whether they knew it or not, had really nothing to do with the event that was so sad and tragic. And while we're on that topic, I will also say this, because another thing that's been talked about a lot is all the times that I tried to get Micah busted with the cops. All the times that I called. Well, let's go back now, okay? Who wanted me to call the police sometimes? And by the way, you know damn well that the police didn't do nothing anyway. But because they were called at certain times by me, do you know why they were called at certain times? Because where I got dropped off to stay at, that woman was so scared and fearful, especially after she heard that Micah had been outside waiting for me, and after she found out that he was lurking around out there. Just like I said to them, I feel his energy. I know he is around here somewhere. Oh, well, do you have your phone off so he can't track you? I mean, because I couldn't use my phone there. God forbid I even checked my phone. Oh, you got to turn it off. They were more scared than I was. So if you were that scared that you wanted me and rode my ass until I picked up the goddamn phone, and I'm going to tell you who wanted to speak to the cops. They wanted to speak to the cops because I couldn't get a fucking word in edgewise without them in the background yippity yappiting about what I should be telling them. So if I made a number of calls to the police about Micah, bet your bottom dollar it also had to do with the fact that I had very fearful individuals around me that were encouraging me, suggesting, and telling me basically that this is what I was going to do. Even though I already knew I could make the calls here, but the cops are not going to do anything about it. I already knew that. But to appease their minds, because I was staying there with my dog, I called. But let's not forget who wanted them called in the first place. So could you imagine how scared she was? He wasn't coming and gunning after her. But imagine, it freaked her out like that. Well, could you imagine the person being the person that they were actually looking and gunning for? Oh, but now it's so easy to talk all your shit, right? Like I said, your friend didn't even know why she was so super upset and crying. But her oversoul does. Yeah, you know why? Because she chooses to have sympathy for the fucking devil. And you are a devil. You are. I mean, even the way you were when you first dropped me off, even before I got the PFA, it was like, you fucked up. You fucking sent a text message to his phone before I even left out of the house. A text message asking if I wanted you to take me to the cops. I didn't ask you to take me to the cops. I asked you to get me out of the house. I didn't ask you to take me to the cops. You wrote that on your own. And then the dumb bitch that you are, you're gonna go and send it to him like an idiot. So then when he starts calling you a cop caller and starts talking shit about you to your son, that doesn't sound good for your street cred. All of a sudden now you're mad at me? Why? Because you're a dumb bitch? But you helped to work all that derision there. But you came in sitting on both sides and you helped to encourage me to not want to stay. So how are you going to be mad at me now? What, because I left? No, you weren't mad that I left. You wanted me to leave. What you were mad about was what could come out from me that you didn't want to be known. Tell me. Tell me I'm wrong. And if I'm right, it's because the Spirit told me, the Spirit of truth, which is the Holy Spirit. So you play both sides of the fence. You information sit. So that means that you know things, but you'll act dumb like you don't. So you sit on information that you know might make it a little better. Oh, and let's not forget, you were the main force trying to see to it that I wouldn't be able to get up to actually even go to court, to even be able to get my PFA. Do you know why? Do you know why they didn't want me to obtain a PFA? Because then it might come out about the little ride that they gave me. And it would probably be better that that doesn't come out, right? It's bad enough that you're helping me in any way. And who mentioned the cops? That was all on you. And like, I couldn't even believe when he came in and told me, what's this text about? Do you want me to take you to the cops? Do you know what I said to myself? I said, Jesus Christ. Are you serious? Did she really just send that text to him? Like, are you that fucking dumb? Yeah. But then this is how dumb you truly are. You make a mistake. You suggested something that you knew would get you called a snitch. And yet, instead of being mad at your own fucking self, because God forbid you do anything wrong, right? Instead, it becomes my problem. It becomes my fault, right? Because, oh, why do I have to go and try to take legal action anyway? It probably, in your mind, in all honesty, and I'm just going to call it like I see it and like I discerned it, it would have been better if Tramp would have just taken me out and put an end to me, rather than me go and get a protection from abuse order in place. Especially, it would have been better for me to be taken out rather than it ever come out that you are a dumb, two-faced, placating type bitch that plays both sides of the fence, gains information on both sides, and then sits on what you want to sit on, and then you'll sit and agree, stir the pot, and even thought suggest an implantation with other anxiety or negative induced responses or thoughts that will have to do with something that you know is just going to cause the other person you're saying it to feel some type of way or to get worked up. Like I said, I hope that his true friends smell you out for the rat that you actually are, since all of them right now, I can't blame them. How could they not look at me as if I'm the problem and the reason for this? And look, you want the truth? I'll give it to you, raw. You can say that it was me, okay? Because if Micah wouldn't have met me, things probably would have been different. He probably would have taken himself out all by himself in that house on 300 White Street. And it probably would have occurred shortly before 2023. All right? So you could say that ultimately I delayed the inevitable. I put it off for about 3 years. But what happened to him, unfortunately, that was something that was going to end up happening regardless. However, yes, the relationship that he got into with me did not profit him, it did not benefit him, and it did not really do him any good. If anything, it did make his state, his mental health, a lot worse. And do you know why it made it a lot worse? Because he wanted to live in a fantasy and in a world that he thought could be me. How can I word this the right way? The way he wanted to live and how he wanted me to be with him did not end up staying like that. He met me under false pretenses because when he met me, I did not even know who I really was or what I was doing. I didn't even know what ailments were afflicting me. I didn't realize everything the way I can see it now. I could not see things back then. So in a sense, when he met me, he determined that I was one way. And when I started to veer from those ways, that was very disappointing to him. And because, like I said in previous videos, if you don't heal from your shit, you're going to end up having to repeat it, but it's going to get harder and harder and more intense each time, because until you've had enough and you finally say, that's it, I'm done, I'm making a change, I'm doing something different, you will endure the same pile of shit, only each time it's going to have even more shit added to it. Because that's how things work. That's why your life has been a nonstop fuck story for the last 3 years. Because what really are you doing any different other than still blame shifting, still hiding your true intentions under falsehoods, still presenting yourself one way over here, and then over there, you're going to present yourself as something completely different. How long are you going to run around covered up under an image and a guise that's not really you? And how long are you going to run like that undetected? Not too much longer, actually.